Minnesota Timberwolves outsmarted the NBA because instead of going out and overpaying for somebody or stretching their books a little bit too thin, they're just going to let internal development take place. And they can do that because their superstar Anthony Edwards is still just 24 years old next season. Naz Reid will be just 26 and Jaden McDaniels will be just 25. And they have a young core led by a 20-year-old Rob Dillingham, a 24-year-old Terrence Shannon Jr., who per 36 was their best player in the playoffs, a 23-year-old Jalen Clark, and the new rookie, Johan Bergen. Their only real cap casualty ended up being Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who went out to Atlanta and signed a big-time deal. 4 years, $62 million, and that's pretty much starter money for a guy that is really just a good backup in the league. He averaged not even 10 points per game, 3.2 rebounds, and 2.7 assists on 44% shooting from the field, 38% from three. And not to knock on Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he came to Minnesota, completely revived his career as a high-level role player, high-level bench player, but Minnesota just couldn't pay him $16 million a year. In the Western Conference Finals, this is really where he made his money. He averaged 12 points and then a little under 3 rebounds and 3 assists, shot 41% from the field, and as a 6'5" wing with a 6'9" wingspan, he's very valuable as a on-ball defender, and that's really what he was off the bench. He was their stopper off the bench, along with Dante DiVincenzo. They had a couple of good defensive wings off the bench, but like I said, at the end of the day, they just could not afford to pay him, and they can replace him with a couple of younger guys. Terrence Shannon Jr. can replace his offensive production, while Jalen Clark can replace his defensive production, and Terrence Shannon Jr. was the most underrated player of the Western Conference Finals, without a doubt. In Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals, he'd put up 15 points, 2 rebounds, and a steal in 12 minutes. That was kind of the theme for the entire Western Conference Finals. Terrence Shannon Jr. scoring more points than he spent time on the floor. And this was a huge Game 3 that Minnesota absolutely had to win. In Games 3, 4, and 5, he averaged 11.7 points, 1.7 rebounds, and 0.7 assists in 12.3 minutes while shooting 53% from the field and 38% from 3. They outscored Oklahoma City during Games 3 through 5. Not many people realize that, but the 40-point blowout in Game 3 was enough to outscore OKC for the next 2 games. Now, unfortunately, that didn't count for anything, but in 32 games last year, TSJ put up 4.3 points, 1.5 rebounds, and an assist while shooting 48% from the field and 36% from 3. He's a guy that, without a doubt, will be getting a ton of more minutes this year, especially with the Nickeil Alexander-Walker departure, which frees up some minutes, and just overall, Coach Finch doesn't play rookies that much. And as a matter of fact, he didn't hardly play any of these guys, although they all showed a ton of potential. And I cannot wait for Rob Dillingham to be unleashed on the rest of the league. One of the flashiest players in the league. He might be the quickest player in the association. However, he's only 176 pounds at 6'3". So he's got to be an elite scorer. They gave up 2 future first-round picks for him. Well, 1 future first-round pick and then a future pick swap to the Spurs. He averaged 4.5 points, 2 assists, and a rebound as a rookie in just 10 minutes a game. Shot 44% from the field and 34% from 3. Did appear in more games than TSJ, and as you can see, all the signs are there of him being an elite pick and roll scorer, just an elite scorer overall. Appeared in 49 games, can work out of the pick and roll, can work out of pretty much any system that you want him to, because he is just a dynamite scorer. And in the future, imagine him alongside of Anthony Edwards. Ant will have to play a lot better defense, but you also have Jaden McDaniels, to help out with that. Now, Jalen Clark, who is 6'4" with a 6'9" wingspan, the other young guy that they had on the roster this year, a little bit bigger than Nickeil Alexander-Walker at 210, played 40 games, averaged 4 points per game, 1.7 rebounds, 0.7 assists, and a steal in 13 minutes a game, while shooting 47% from the field and 43% from 3 on 1.3 attempts a night. Fantastic 3-and-D young wing. Really excited to see what the future holds for him, because like I said, he can replace Nickeil Alexander-Walker's defensive production while TSJ replaces his offensive production, but he also shoots 43% from 3, which is better than Nickeil Alexander-Walker. This is a really, really nice core to have all these guys under the age of 26 currently. Naz will turn 26 next year, and then you add Behringer in there. That's your core. They can be your core for the next 10 years if you keep them all locked up, and you have your superstar with Ant, your 2 other key guys with McDaniels and Naz Reid. Julius Randle's back, but Behringer, I'm hoping, can be the replacement for Rudy Gobert down the line. He's a good rim protector, can play drop coverage. He's also a really, really good rim runner. He runs to the rim hard, has decent hands, and has a lot of athletic ability when he gets down into the paint. Look at the athleticism is special right there for a 6'11" guy with a phenomenal wingspan. I believe it's around 7'6" wingspan. 5 points a game, 4 rebounds, 1.5 blocks in 18 minutes a game. Shot 59% from the field in 30 professional games played last year overseas. So he's definitely a guy, really high motor on him, crashes the glass well, like we said, a hard roller, hard cutter, hard rim runner. Those are all good qualities to have in a young big, and he won't get much PT next year, probably a lot of G League time, but eventually, he is, kind of the contingency plan for Rudy Gobert, who, yes, is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, so Behringer is not going to come in next year and take over. Gobert is still going to be the starting center for the foreseeable future, but he is going to be 33 next year, and he's on a pretty sizable long-term contract, 3 years, $111 million, so maybe after next year or the year after that, you look to move on from him and get off that contract, go a lot cheaper with Behringer, and then sign, a short-term guy as well. But Gobert averaged 12 points a game, 12 rebounds, 1.8 blocks in 33 minutes a game, shot 67% from the field and from the line, and is anchored back-to-back top 5 defenses in Minnesota, something that they hadn't done in quite a long time. He and Mike Conley are the 2 vets on this team, so they have a lot of say in the locker room, and expect them to stick around, right? Like, Mike Conley could be a guy that you look to move on from, but at this point in the offseason, I don't think he's going anywhere. You ultimately had to choose one or the other between Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Chose Naz Reid. I think that is the right decision. 5 years, $125 million. Naz Reid is proving he can develop into something special in the NBA. He's got nimble feet for a big and can also operate on the offensive side of the ball, although he will need to rethink all those spin moves he tried to do against OKC. 14 points a game, 6 rebounds, 2.3 assists, and a block per game for Naz last year. 46% shooting from the field, 38% from 3, and I was expecting him to have a better series against Oklahoma City. It didn't quite materialize, but he was still all right, and I'll be interested to see if they run some lineups like this next year with Conley at the 1, Ant, McDaniels, and then Randall and Naz at the 5 instead of some Rudy Gobert minutes at the 5, or maybe even some Naz minutes at the 4, but they did re-sign Julius Randle, which I thought was a good move. Decent value contract, nothing crazy, but, not really a steal by any means. It's just good to have Julius Randle back. He was a much bigger piece to what they were doing last year than people gave him credit for. Of course, Jaden McDaniels will be back. He's locked up long-term as their elite stopper on the perimeter. Dante DiVincenzo will be back, a guy that played a lot better towards the end of the season. Not necessarily in the Western Conference Finals, but during the regular season, he played very well down the stretch before injury. And I'm really glad that the Wolves didn't blow up their roster, trying to go out and make a big splash. Cough, cough, KD. They keep this young core intact. And like I showed you, they got 7 guys under the age of 26 that they can keep together for the next 10 years. And hopefully win at least 1 or 2 championships with that core. With that being said, though, that's going to be it for today's video. I really like the approach the Wolves took. Y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Make sure to hit the like button and hit that subscribe button if you did enjoy at any point. And with all that being said, thanks so much for watching today's video.